Okay, hey, it's Friday night, Kipaipai Happy Hour. We welcome you tonight, and we welcome our special guest presentation by Jason Jenn and Vojislav Radovanovic. And we are super excited about what they're proposing tonight, because it's not just a presentation of something that they've worked on, but it is an opportunity for all of the artists that are here tonight to possibly participate. So pay attention. Let's give them our undivided attention and take it away, guys.
Thank you, Andy, so much, and good evening, everybody. I would love to actually just say two things. We're going to separate this presentation in two parts. One part is going to be a presentation of our upcoming exhibition at Angels Gate Cultural Center in San Pedro that Jason and I curated a year ago. We proposed the proposal, and in April 10th, we're going to have a virtual opening, and also exhibition is going to be possible to be visited in person by appointments, we believe at this point. So I would just introduce Jason. Jason also have his background in performance art. He's trained with Rachel Rosenthal. He's also a writer, and he's also a videographer. At this point, we curated few projects together. And also currently he's working as outreach specialist for Torrance Art Museum. So Jason is gonna start. Can we share the screen? Yes, okay. Do you see, guys, our presentation already?
Can everyone see it?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I usually get home around 7:30 from my office hours that I have to cram in only on one day at the museum. So it's nice. I often show up and you're in the middle of your happy hour and I kind of glance in and see what you're doing. It's really fun to actually leave work early and come here and join you all. So we have this show, Sanctuary of the Aftermath. It's based on some themes that Vojislav and I have been talking about for a long time. And as you'll see, there's some carryover. This is sort of like a prelude to the habitat restoration, which Vojislav is going to talk about. But we've really been interested in how, art has this sacred aspect to it. And there's there's a spiritual component, and it's often, in contemporary art, sometimes looked down upon, not always, but sometimes it is. And we're also interested in how, artists who use a spiritual method or have a spiritual practice in their art, and that it reflects issues that are going on that are difficult to deal with in contemporary times, but art has a way to examine that. So we have 11 artists. This is the statement, and so it's investigating how art can create new channels during these prolonged periods of physical separation and quarantine. So, when the pandemic first emerged and the open call occurred for Angels Gate, we adapted some of our ideas and submitted, and they loved it so much they wanted it to be one of the first exhibitions that they had fingers crossed to open that the public could actually visit. So it's still up in the air at this time, but we're really excited to present it and to have artists that are doing a lot. We have a lot of installation art, auditory art. It's more of an experiential type of exhibition. And the idea of sanctuary is that you're removing yourself from the rest of the world, but at the same time, you're looking at art that is really connected to what is happening in the world right now. And as we worked with these different artists, it's a mixture of work that was already created and brand new work that is site specific for the gallery. This is the work by artist Anita Getzler. And in talking to Anita during a studio visit with her last year, she was moving from her home and she was talking about all of these flowers, petals that she has saved for dozens of years, and that she's been wanting to, move them in some way into art. So we're really happy that we worked closely with her, encouraging her to finish her vision of using these flowers. Originally, for her, the roses and the drying of the roses, she had a lot of connections with the Holocaust and coming from family that has survived the Holocaust. And over the course of the time, she's also made parallels with the pandemic. And, so she's captured these rose petals into these vials, and she's creating these memorials, and she's going to create a shrine. This is one component of that. And then she also performed a ritual that Vojislav and I documented out at the ocean with the flowers. So it's this total process from beginning to end. And Anita was a great example of working closely with her on this project, seeing it from a vision to fruition. Our next artist is Rosalind Miles. And we've seen some of Rosalind's work before in exhibition, and we just liked that she's working with multimedia. She's doing a lot of assemblage that has a lot of, it deals with a lot of contemporary issues, civil rights issues, and she's doing a brand new piece. It's not anything like this really, but this is an example of her work that she's taking a lot of found objects, she's putting them together in new ways, and giving them new life that has a connection to the contemporary world. And if you go to the next piece, then David Holland is an artist that I've known for a long time, and he's a sculptor. He really loves to get into the geometry of objects, and he's worked many years this is not what he's going to show. We're trying to show you works that aren't exactly in the show, but that show you an example of their work. Highly geometrical, highly designed, but for many years he worked with the restoration of Tibetan and Himalayan sculpture pieces. So his pieces, or his piece in the show, his sculpture piece in the show, has these very stylized flames that come from Tibetan origin. And this is Nika Aquino. She works a lot with altars and dealing with the diaspora and her background in the Philippines and history with her family, and doing memorials to family members. And so for this show, she's creating sort of a future memorial that is going to reflect how the future looks back on this current time and pandemic that we're in. This is Alison Reget, and she does a lot of sculptural work that includes a lot of unusual materials, this poly material and these fine strands that look like hairs, along with the porcelain. And one of the things that developed in this exhibition is this idea of connecting how much we've been isolated from each other. And skin and touch, human touch, has come up a lot in that we're exploring the connections with nature, the connections with people on a cellular level, on this sort of visionary scope. So all these elements are coming into play with each other for the final exhibit. And she works in huge scale. This is Abuki Kuramochi, who many of you know, and she's a phenomenal artist who uses her body in performance and her painting, and she combines the two of them. And for the work and the show that she's doing, again, she's really focusing on how isolated we've been and that human touch has been missing. We are hoping that maybe there's an opportunity for her to physically activate the space, but it all depends on the vaccine distribution. This, as you know, is Jeff Frost. Vojislav and I have been fans of Jeff Frost for many years. We're like, idolize him for his video art work. And this is California on Fire. And the wildfires that have occurred, are playing highly in several of the pieces in Sanctuary of the Aftermath. And we had the art exhibition, online exhibition that we included his works in. This is from Go Home, just brilliant work from Jeff. and we love seeing what he's up to now. And this piece, Circle of Abstract Ritual, is the piece that's going to be projected as a centerpiece during the exhibition. This is my piece from last year's El Camino exhibition of What Is It About Trees? And I will be doing a variation on this piece of a leaf mandala created from leaves that I collected site specifically, mixed in with different leaves from the area and putting them together in some unique mandala formations for the gallery. This is Kayla Tange, and this is a work that Vojislav and I documented a few years back. We love that Kayla she really is working on this intersection of her background as both Korean and Japanese, and her fact that she was adopted, and her work as she's a performance artist and a burlesque dancer. And she combines all of these elements in a lot of her work in really unique ways. And in this piece, it was about isolation. It was about how people perceive her, and she painted herself into a white cube by the end of it all. And for the piece that she's doing at Angel's Gate, it's a illuminated sandbox that people can utilize as like a sand mandala. It's very popular with audiences that can interact with it. So we're hoping that we get a chance to have public go into the space. And then she's going to have a few other hanging sculptural pieces. And lastly, before I get into Vojislav's work, I'll let him talk about it. This is from his Theory of Unity, which was in a mosque in Serbia. We have a lot of auditory artwork, and we're featuring the work of a composer, Joseph Carrillo, who is doing pieces that he wrote on grief, and 5 compositions that will be played in the exhibition space that will work with each piece individually. We have a lot of video art that people can listen to the audio on their headphones, but Joseph's piece will be throughout the gallery. And then this is Vojislav's work, which ties right into what he's going to talk about with Joseph Beuys and this idea of the habitat restoration. But thanks for letting me join in with you.
Thank you. So I will just continue. I'm also 11th artist who is participating in Angel's Gate exhibition. And I'm going to present actually the work that kind of relates to my previous works. This is the work from 2015 from Serbian central city Niš. This is the mosque from the 16th century, built of bricks of a previous building that was a private palace that was transformed into Christian basilica. And it's like so many socio-political and historical questions of a Balkan region are there in this work. But also the very important part of this work is the column and using of a scaffold as a main construction for holding the drawings. And scaffold in my case is basically the material that I wanted to emphasize this reconstructing need for a reconstruction of a spiritual practice that we kind of lost during the post-communistic era in Balkan. This is also the work that I was talking last time on my presentation. This is the wildfires location in Sepulveda Basin in LA, and this is the installation that is placed there approximately 3 months after the wildfires, and you can see how nature is bursting back. Everything is again green, and this installation is kind of like honoring that type of rebirth of nature rebirthing itself. So this is the exhibition that we want to present as a curatorial proposal for the gallery in South Bay in San Pedro. That's another gallery, Sola Contemporary. I believe that most of artists are familiar with this gallery. It's really one of the rare important galleries in this area. It's very important for the community, and it's artist-based galleries. So they have open call, which is titled Transformation. And since we were already working on our curatorial proposal for Angels Gate, which also have these elements of transformation, we wanted to propose to them another selection of artists dealing with particular ideas that I wanted to mainly explain through the work of art of Joseph Beuys. I did chose him to be a kind of like kindred spirit for artists who are in Kipaipai group. And I will try to make some kind of connections of his work or something that is very important in his work for our curation, and how artworks from Kipaipai group, artworks by artists from Kipaipai group can be interpreted in that manner, in that sense. So this is, before I start to talk anything about him, it's very important to say that he has this a very shamanic identity that he inherited when during the Second World War. Actually, he was a pilot on a Nazi part of the war, and during this battles, his plane was crashed, and then he started to develop completely fictional story about himself, that he was that he was rescued by Tatars, which are people from this region of Siberia, and that they treated him with animal fat and with felts, and then he started actually to recover, and eventually he became one of them. He initiated his own shamanistic identity. Later on, we realized that that this is fictional story. He made up this story, but that's not important at this point, because he started to create his own cosmology, his own idea, and his own like symbolism of materials. And in his work, materials and simple actions, simple stories are so important to because they're addressing very important issues that after Industrial Revolution humans in general started to experience. This is disconnection with nature. So in this performance, which is famous performance from New York, America Loves Me, I Love America, America Loves Me, he was trapped in the gallery space with the coyote. And for 3 days, they started to actually learn to live together. And he started to develop this relationship with coyote. Of course, coyote in American culture, particularly in indigenous American cultures, is animal that represents a very spiritual potential, or also is known as a shapeshifter. So that animal also like really relates perfectly with his shamanistic identity. And of course, in this photo, you can see that he's also adopting this form of spine being horizontal. So he starts to imitate the animal, and he's creating actually environment in which those two those animal and human can start to live together in a peaceful situation. Of course, this is very violent photograph, but I promise I'm ending up with very optimistic photograph. This is another piece of art that is very disturbing by Joseph Beuys. What he depicts here is a figurine of some kind of Venus, female goddess, but obviously something is deeply wrong with it. It's surrounded with bandages. She's wounded, or something is extremely wrong, and she's placed on a pillow. And of course, his work here definitely addresses this disconnection with our feminine part of the society, and damage that the Industrial Revolution and further cultural development also produced. The second work by him that I would love to emphasize as something that could really relate to a lot of things, especially about materiality that he's using. He's using fields here because in his ideology, fields represent something that isolates. And in this case, piano is literally what's the word for wrapped with the fields. And of course the function of piano is not working. There is no any more piano that is functional. So he's again talking about some kind of broken communication between the objects and its own identity. And of course he's using again a red cross, which is immediate symbol for urgent care. Something is like really bad happening, so that's why he's putting the cross on it. This is another work of art basically having the same concept as piano. This is gramophone record that he again destroyed by painting the surface. So again, informations that are on this gramophone play are now lost, and that's again something that he wants to say. This is the problem of communication that we have. And this is very famous work of art by him. This is while he was part of a Fluxus movement. This is explaining the images to the dead rabbit. He's literally having a dead animal in his arms, and he has some kind of wires on his feet. He's trying to open some kind of like new telecommunication with the dead animal. And during his opening, his exhibition, he's actually going with this animal around the room, around the gallery, and he's explaining his artworks to the dead animal. And obviously this work is dealing with this broken relationship that we have with different species, and that he is trying to open this new communications with different species, and also with dead animal, which is another very, very spiritual work. And this is the work that I would love to finish with. Joseph, after 3 days, actually started really beautiful relationship with this coyote. Obviously, he is not rised up as a man. He has his spine in the same position, in the same level as coyote, and they kind of like establish this relationship. So what is important for this exhibition, after talking about few works of art by Joseph Beuys, I would love to emphasize 3 things about the concept that we are working on the exhibition called
Habitat Restoration.
Habitat Restoration, which is a working title. It might be changed. So the first thing is that we need to establish new communication, or to heal the broken communication with nature and also with different species. So we are very interested in artworks that are dealing with this subject: broken relationships with nature and establishing new relationships, and also using the specific materials, just like in the case of Joseph Beuys, where he's using a fat, animal fat, or a fields. We are also like thinking about artworks that have a particular use of material, where material has another.
It's conceptual level.
It's a conceptual use of a material. So I would start with ending with this photo of Joseph Beuys. I would jump in immediately to the work of Samuel Richardson, and you will find out that this is immediate a connection between her work and Joseph's work. She's depicting here animal, maybe it's a dog, maybe it's a coyote, and a human figure. even though she's talking in her artistic statement about stage and actors, and we can see that in one orientation of this human figure looking at the dog, we have another type of emotion. And then when she just turn around the figure in another direction, there is another very sad emotion there, but also like something that is extremely disturbing about this work, and something that she's obviously depicting as an artist is this broken situation. This human figure don't have arms, dog might have or not have a tail. There is something that is incomplete. And also her use of material and the way how she stitched these figures together is really important, because she's not trying to hide those stitches. Those stitches are becoming very essential part of the work, because she's creating a kind of a simulacrum for, she's not creating a illusion of some space or illusion that there is a figure. She's not realistic. She's really doing this in a absolutely beautiful way. This is another installation by her where we again have a human figure, and now again not complete, or some a little bit broken trees. They are not complete. And now I'm gonna skip to another artist. This is K. Ryan Hennessy, who is also artist who is doing a different type of artworks. He's doing installations, sculptures, paintings, collages. And here he depicted a human figure made of letters and words. And obviously on the floor level, you can see a lot of those letters that need to be reassembled and obviously to build something. If you go closer to some of the parts of this human body, you will see that he's, the title of this work is Babel. And of course it is referring to the city of Babel, which is famous for exactly this broken relationship between people starting to talk different languages and stop to listening to each other or to understanding each other. So what he's doing here, he's trying to maybe make a golem, you know, the clay man who is made of with the combination of letters and sounds, and then he's trying maybe to reestablish a new kind of a man in this work. The next artist is Catherine Rouen. This is absolutely amazing work of art, and here she's presenting yucca tree in a blooming season. So obviously the moment of blooming is extremely important for her. And so that's very short period of time. And if you see the whole the whole installation, you will understand that she's also talking about time. So the time is ticking, something is happening. This is absolutely, I mean, at the first look, it might look like also like a flower petals and the flower, but also if you understand that it's about the time, then she's talking about the extremely fragile ecosystem of yucca trees in Southern California, because this tree is able to be pollinated only exclusively by this little fellow here, that's a night moth. And also she's depicting in some smaller pieces very important moments. And on the first one, you can see the moth. The second one is the depiction of some kind of like a star night cosmological representation, because also like for those plants, she understands that they feel those you know, lunar changes, and you know, how the seasons are changing based on the stars maybe. And of course third one is with the clouds, and maybe that brings also, that's another level of another story. So I'm trying to be fast, so I'm sorry, I'm going further. This is Marnie Lucas. She's amazing artist working in a very non-usual technology. She did her presentation a few weeks ago. I deeply enjoyed in this, and we also wanted to include her in our previous project, which is online video festival, but we didn't have time for that, and I hope that this is going to be the time for collaboration. This is her work titled Incident Energy, and in this way of storytelling, she's using technology that we usually think as something that is highly scientific, or something that relates to the military service, or something that is like surveillance technology. But what she's presenting in this experimental film, also using different choreography, dancers and actors, she's depicting actually human body, and she's exploring the relationship of a human body and original habitat. We see a birth of a baby in infra or thermo cameras. We're seeing all sorts of different situations that human body experiences, and also we see emotions, because those thermo cameras are depicting our body fluids, how they combine. So the landscape of a body become very interesting to think about, and she's opening a lot of questions, which is again material that she's using or technology that she's using goes well with this theme, and you can see here some of the details. I'm so blown away with this video that I would love you to visit her website, go to her Vimeo account and watch the video. This is another artist. This is Lisa Schultz. She's a famous artist working with neon, and her major material and what she's working with is light. So in this case, she's presenting here like found 3 parts which are obviously grown in a very harsh environment. I mean, this kind of like twirls and this kind of, you can see the life force in these 3 trunks or 3 branches, because they were trying really the best to live their life. And then she's actually giving them another form of a life after they finish their biological cycle. She's giving them another form of a life through the installing the lights on it. So the next artist is Debbie Corbell. Debbie Corbell is very amazing artist who is doing a lot of different body works, and she's usually saying in her artistic statement that she's interested in human relationships or in queerness of individuals who are different. Her heroes, her sculptures usually depict individuals who are not fitting the norms. And also her sculptures sometimes can be extremely funny. But for this exhibition, we really wanted to focus on absolutely amazing body of work that she has only about horses. And talking about horses and American culture, we have to emphasize this idea of freeing the animal. This animal is definitely not the part of the habitat of America, because the horses, Mustangs, were introduced to American continent through Spaniards, and then they ran away from the humans. They ran away in the nature, and then they found their new habitat. So her sculptures are extremely interesting also, because she's the one who is using materials which are found objects. Usually we can also say that if she's going around her own environment looking for this type of trash or something that is discarded, that she's also doing something that is ecologically responsible, because she's cleaning environment and also bringing it back to the studio and building something that has such a powerful and beautiful message. And also her work can open so many dialogues about environment and original idea for this exhibition. Next artist is Joy Ray. I love her work. We both enjoy her works very much, and I would describe her visual artistic practice as something that is informal, or maybe even some form of arte povera. But what she's doing as an artist, it's really important to understand that her experience of living in a volcano active island is something that is deeply important to understand if we want to understand her artworks. She's calling these paintings visual poetry. I forgot the name for the paintings, but you can see that she's using a lot of materials like sand. She's building the layers of the painting. It almost looks like a lava, layering island and building new layers of soil and new layers of life. Also, she's using a lot of stitching, and that's something that also brings this feminine force that we were also mentioning in a work of art by Joseph Beuys and Broken Venus. So she's bringing this female energy and this knitting and putting together something, and it's really interesting body of work. I also recommend visiting her website. It's beautifully organized. This is another artist, Marta Aponte. Both Jason and I had the opportunity to exhibit with Marta a few times, and this is her work that is kind of like technique that she's using and that she's recognizable on LA art scene by using this technique, which is picote. She's using a needle to make a little holes inside of the drawing. But here, maybe more important than actual technique is the depiction of the tree as a female body. So something that is understanding of the forest or understanding of the trees as feminine energy or a feminine force is very interesting to combine with maybe other artists. And also this is one of her works. So the next artist is Donna Zarbin Byrne. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that well. I hope that somebody will correct me. This is her work called Bowls of Prayer. Also, she's talking about prayers and maybe this process of praying as something that can be manifested or physically appeared in the form of, I'm just gonna show you details of this. So she's using a metal bowl, a metal wire, a paper, also some organic material like leaves and branches. And she's maybe talking exactly about this state of a prayer, state of a mental practice of a prayer being materialized in this form. And this is more of details. And this is Kudra Clover. So Kudra's work is absolutely amazing. This is something that she calls a floor of the forest, or forest's floor. She's obviously installing in this exhibition a silk painting that represents the floor. In this work, she's seeing that whatever is visible for us when we are visiting the forest, we are usually looking at the tree trunks and the branches and the sky in between, and we are enjoying these organisms and as individuals. But what she's actually depicting here is the floor, is something that is happening under the ground and it's not visible for us. So it's maybe some fungi, microscopical presentation of the forest as one organism, Maybe it's also like some other form of a microscopical presentation of that life force that is bursting under the ground. And basically, this is another point of view from here. And this is all artists that I prepared and that I contacted and said that I'm going to talk about their work. But this is also the very shorted list of other artists that I believe could be interested in this exhibition. This is Nadia's work, Nadia Oslin. Again, I'm sorry for not pronouncing perfectly the names. She has amazing body work called, where she's actually explaining a very complex relationship with the plant tobacco and humans. Kira Volman, Karen Hochman-Brown, Laurie Sumi, she has amazing video art that could be part of this show. Stevie Love has amazing wall pieces made of synthetic materials. Edwin Vasquez has a really nice body of work, which is, I believe, new stuff that he produced, clay masks. And I believe there is more artists who can also be interested in this exhibition. So this was I hope that we, oh my God, 47 minutes. Okay. That was it.
That was amazing. Oh my gosh, so amazing.
I feel that I was running.
This is so great. I hope everyone enjoyed this as much as I did. And my mom is visiting and she was totally blown away as well. So let's see. I know we want to open this up to some questions, and I know some of the artists.
I originally thought that we were going to talk only for 30 minutes, but obviously I like to talk, and when I'm inspired,
let me participate now. Sorry.
Stop. So I can say a few things more about this open call. The deadline is March 15th. And also at this point, we don't have to present the works of art that are finished. Maybe somebody has some kind of concept. We also have few artists from our upcoming show that are going to be also proposed for the next show. And yeah, so that's it. If anybody has any questions, we are here.
I'm going to add just one of the things I think that everyone that's watching is going to ask is if they would like to participate, how do they get in touch with you, and how do they get to participate?
The best way would be to send an email with their website, short bio, and some visual JPEGs of their work, and to send it to laartdocuments@gmail.com.
You guys want to drop that in the chat?
Yes.
And then they can just cut and paste.
I do have a question.
Yes.
First of all, I mean, this is amazing. The word, the idea, I'm really excited about it. So my question is, the work that you chose, The Birth of a Tree, is it something that's going to go for the show, or do I have to produce something new? That's my question.
This really depends of a situation that is like truly complex. I would love to be able to give a perfect proposal saying that this gallery is maybe, possible to put, big works. I'm always imagining works as like a lot of, space, occupying a lot of space, and to give to each artist as much space as possible. Maybe at some point we're going to deal with the situation that we have too many artists and that we have to have smaller pieces, or maybe we're going to have like, okay, let's just make a very small list of the short list of the artist and present maybe bigger parts of the, it's
going to depend on the size of the space. And one of the things that I think, this was like the dream pick of the presentation of Vojislav, like just all the, all these ideas. Of course, there are smaller pieces that each artist creates that also relate. But in many ways, we're kind of really interested in taking this theme and evolving it in different ways, in different iterations. You know, there's a relationship between Sanctuary of the Aftermath. There's a relationship of that to habitat restoration, but they're different, but they're connected. And there's sort of like, you know, particularly Vojislav's taking the lead on the habitat restoration, and his interest of seeing it through the Joseph Beuys and the materials and sort of that aesthetic. You know, there's,
and also like experience of working on a Sanctuary of the Aftermath is really beautiful, because we didn't even imagine that, for example, Anita Getzler is going to make such an amazing works, because when we started the concept and when we started the idea, that was like very different from what we actually ended up with. And she's going to be definitely part of this show that we're going to propose for Sola, because at this point, I don't know. I mean, I'm such a big fan of her work. I love her work. And, you know, it's really nice if artists actually have time to develop their projects and maybe to develop some completely new body works. It's just something that we want to stay on a track of this reconnection with nature, and that artworks and artists particularly need to be aware of this broken relationship, so that we can work on that through different artworks and to offer different type of solutions, ideas, concepts. So at this point, I would basically maybe just send the works that I already picked up, that we already picked up, and that we can just say, okay, this is the list of the artists. We are not promising that this is gonna be the artworks that gonna be in the show. Because also it's very important when you have, at this point for Sanctuary of the Aftermath, we even build a little a model of the gallery, trying to understand that many of the artworks can have a dialogue in between. If it's not the same, if you put one art, I mean, it's very complicated. And so I think that further development of the project is something that should come naturally. It does not have to be like, oh, this is the solution and now we're gonna just go by that.
And I think all of the artists that you presented tonight, I think they're great examples of the concepts that you have developed, but I hope that they will all not stop making work just to think, oh, that specific piece is being chosen for that. Maybe use this as an opportunity to take the ideas that are behind the piece that you chose and create, you know, a whole body of work on that concept. And so it does two things, right? It gives you as a curator the option, more options to choose from, but it also, on the second hand, gives the artist an opportunity to fully explore concepts that they may not have under other circumstances. So I think this is a great opportunity. So don't get caught up in the details of the pieces tonight that Jason and Vojislav have chosen to use as examples. Don't get caught up in that. Think more about the concepts that are at hand here, and that and how the materials are also relating back to this broken relationship between the human being and the natural world. So I don't know. I know there's other questions. Should I just read them off of the chat?
Okay, excuse me, but because you are here and I don't know when I will see you, so I'm just going to take just a few minutes. I want to first make sure I understand. So my
Mark,
piece was.
I'm gonna interrupt you and just say this is a conversation for you guys to have offline
Okay.
about the specifics of the exhibition.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. Okay, thank you.
Let's see. I think that there's a
If there
bunch
is
of
any questions, yeah.
Yeah, let's just go through this here. Okay, so Jeannie Dunn asks, so Jason, do you see a series of shows in a sequence?
You know, we take one show at a time, really, but we're always thinking ahead. If there's something that doesn't quite fit in one show, then it's always in another. I mean, we constantly have like, you know, we're juggling many different projects, and and they evolve in different ways, and we're always considering one person for, this exhibition. Sanctuary of the Aftermath started as 8 artists, and then there were a couple artists that I felt bad that our exhibition got canceled because of the pandemic for Torrance Art Museum. And I was like, but they also fit so well with Sanctuary of the Aftermath. So different pieces, but same artists. So, it's that part of the process. And I think also, just to talk a little bit, we have an unusual also approach of this kind of organic process where it evolves. And sometimes we take a leap of faith, or at least I have in my performance art. It's sort of this practice of like, you jump into the unknown. You have a vision and you have a set of things, but then you're adapting as it goes along, and some great surprises come out of that.
What?
And that kind of organicness of creating is just so beautiful. I mean, it's not just the concept of the exhibition itself, but it's the process in which you guys work. I love that.
Yeah, process is important. The leaf mandala, for example, like that was for this tree show that El Camino had, and they had a clear theme. And I had a proposal that I made, but my proposal was, I'm going to meditate with trees and figure out what the trees tell me what to do. So I didn't really know until I had spent several times meditating. And then I had this vision, which was literally a glow, a mandala, a ring of golden leaves. And I was like, okay, I'm going to gather the leaves and start this process. And, it's that you make a goal, you have a vision, you follow it, and then it leads to some unexpected discovery.
And that's the best part of art making.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Because I just went through the whole feed and I didn't see. Let's see. It says there's 5.
Speaking right now.
What is the duration of the
The
show?
idea of habitat to humans' need for sanctuary versus just human versus nature.
I'm sorry, say that. What was that question again?
I'm reading this from Sam Richardson.
Oh.
I'm sorry. No, hold on.
Yeah.
It just changed again. Beth Waldman is asking, do you extend the idea of habitat to human needs, humans' need for sanctuary versus just human versus nature? Hey, Beth, are you here? Do you want to ask that question?
Hi, I am here. Yeah, well, I explore the idea of sanctuary a lot. It's great to hear the concept, and all the works are really impressive in the show that you've highlighted. But yeah, I explore the idea of sanctuary and our human need for that, and really try to, in my own work, explore like the more primal essence of shelter and sanctuary for humans. So, in the sort of work you've presented tonight, yeah, I was curious, like, instead of it being civilization and humans versus nature, coyotes, like how you might extend like the concept into perhaps including humans in that sense versus humans versus
Right, humans
Coyotes.
as nature and as opposed to humans versus nature. Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, at this point, we are living in Anthropocene, which is the not only like historical situation or like cultural situation that we are approaching, but we are basically leaving the layer on a soil field of plastic and human disposals and everything. So we are even changing geological structure of the planet. So what means habitat? What is habitat today? And of course, the sanctuary is pretty much human. Again, human aspect of that place. That's the holy place or a sacred place, but it's consumed or used by humans. So I think that we are trying here to actually more have a point of view which is not a human point of view. Just like in this case of Joseph Beuys actually adopting this spine position to be horizontal, to be equal with the coyote. So his perspective at this point changed into the perspective of the coyote. So if there are, if we would go in further in any direction, I think it would be maybe exploring how this look like from the perspective of others, of animals, of trees, of and that's why, for example, Martha's work, when tree is depicted as a human form, especially female form, is also very interesting. So she's giving this perspective of a tree to the what it looks like. It's really, it's very complex to explain, but I hope that
No, I'm just I think for the solo show, we're going to continue to work on it over this next week to hone in on that, like what is, but the title itself, if we keep it as habitat restoration, that idea of restoring connections and healing the bond, the stitching, that's where he highlighted the stitching. It's so, that idea of mending is so important.
Also, Jason can mention his friend who is actually expert in restoring American prairies.
Prairies, yeah.
Can you believe that if the landscape could be turned back into what it was before, and if even though she's not an artist, but also like collaboration between art and science. And that's also like why Marnie's work is so exciting, because she's offering point of view that we don't have. I mean, we are not biologically, we are not able to see. We need technology to see these amazing emotions of a birth of a baby. I mean, that's completely crazy footage. You have to go and see her work. But that's something that is like so exciting, because it offers completely different point of view. Mm-hmm. It changes us. We learn through, if we isolate ourselves and then put ourselves in a different perspective, we can learn. So if art also have that type of power to offer those different point of views, that would be awesome.
I agree. I think there's a couple other questions here about specifics about this exhibition. People are asking about the dates, or is this unknown at this time? And also, what would be the duration of the exhibition? And if you guys don't know yet, we can just,
We don't even know if we got the exhibition. It's an open call. So
but,
this is just a proposal. So
having a polished concept for the show, it's also like very good, because at this point, when you have already a selection of artworks or like the concept, then you can propose it to any other gallery or any other institution. And
but if you go to, but we do know the Angels Gate one is April 10th through June 12th, I think.
I'm just going to put my 2 cents in here as a museum curator, that if I got this proposal, I would absolutely take it.
Oh.
And that's not just because I love you guys, but I think the concept behind this exhibition is fantastic. I think the quality and the level of craftsmanship and the concepts in the work itself is at the top of its game. And I didn't see one artist that you introduced or included in this that wasn't appropriate. Like every single piece that was in here was thought-provoking. Each one of the pieces offered an entry point for different levels of experience. So if you were, the art MFA to the first time museum goer, this is one of those shows where there is an entry point offered for every single level. So every person at every level and every knowledge will be able to have an experience and understand what the concepts are of this exhibition. So bravo, fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Andy. Thank you for your support. You're always so supportive, and this is something that we want to thank you.
And an inspiration. It's always great to
Absolutely.
see what's happening in your
come on, yeah. The group of artists that we are choosing from is so connected to you, and you are the one who brought them to our awareness. And we are very, very grateful for you as individuals, but I can say in the name of a community, you are a very, very great person and someone who offers so much to the community. Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure. I say it all the time. I would not have a job if it wasn't for all of the beautiful creatives that I get to work with every single day. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
And I have to say to you, Andy, thank you for having your mom there, Sam, and including her in this evening's presentation. You know, it's neat to see her, and she's just a wonderful lady.
Well, I think that's it for tonight. And
I have a super quick question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marn. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would Jason be performing
Ooh, good question.
at the opening?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
Oh,
That'd be wonderful.
for what? For the for this?
For either of the,
Yeah,
would
that's
this be a
totally.
performance?
Oh, you know, actually, for habitat restoration, so we didn't even talk about. I did a project called Clean Square once. I would probably like to do it. It takes place outside of the gallery, where I clean the sidewalk, and I take all the crap from the sidewalk and put it into jars, and it's done very ritualistically, and I plant flowers in the cracks, and so I would probably like to do that. So yes.
That sounds amazing.
That's wonderful. Yeah, hopefully you can do it. I hope you do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the end of our presentation tonight. And I just want to thank everybody for showing up and supporting the community. And also thank you, Vojislav and Jason, for this beautiful presentation, and all the artists that you chose tonight. I think it was one of our better presentations. I'm really excited about it. And I'm excited to see what happens with all of the artists and where this show goes. And certainly, like I said, I will definitely support it, and maybe even we can do a version of it at MOA. So
Wow, that would be wonderful.
Nice.
That'd be.
so have a great night, everyone. And
Thanks, guys. It was the best.
Thank you so much, Jason and Vojislav. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Very inspiring. Very inspiring.
Very inspiring. Thank you, guys. Bye.
bye. Good night.
Everybody.
Bye.
Good night.